It is time for my November and December reading wrap up. I've been trying here on this channel where I do book reviews, like bookish videos, and also my travel vlogs, to do like a wrap up every 2 months, because again, this isn't my job and I don't do reading in my job, so all the reading that I do is as a hobby, something that I do on the side. And I do know there are people who do reading wrap ups every month with like 12 books. That's not gonna be me. I am not gonna be able to read as many books, so I thought every 2 months is probably a good idea. And I did read 12 different books in November and December, and I'm gonna talk to you about them. And I actually started reading some contemporary romance as well, and I feel very good about that because I've been so into romantasy this year and I haven't really been reading much else, if we're gonna be honest. But I'm excited to be delving into some other things, not only fantasy and romantasy, but also contemporary romance. I have some paranormal in here. I have some other things in my TBR as well that I am aiming to read that is like not contemporary romance, but also not romantasy, more like maybe mythological, maybe historical. I love historical romance. I used to read a lot like that. So I'm excited to be showing some other things here and also in the future. I'm trying to like, I don't know, branch out. Do you also, because I've seen people do like TBR jars and like talking about their TBR list for the next upcoming month. Is that something that you're interested in? Would you like me to do something like that, where like I get a TBR jar, or where I talk about my TBR list for the upcoming month or months? Is that something that you're interested in? Please let me know, because if so, I could try and fix that. Maybe not for this like beginning of the year, but I could ponder about if that's something that you actually enjoy, because I want this channel to be fun for me, but also fun for you. I don't think these are gonna be in the order as I read them, but let's talk. I actually had some really good books. I didn't have any books, I think, that I gave like a 1 or a 2 star, I think. Oh no, I did have a book that I gave a 2 star. Oh. And I did have quite a bunch of 4 stars, like books that I truly enjoyed. And I'm gonna end this one with talking about my 5 star of this month. The book that I was like it was so good. And I already have a video on my channel where I'm talking about all the books that I gave a 5 star in 2024. So if you want to see all my 5 star reads of 2024, that video is already live on my channel. Let's start with contemporary romance, because I read Done and Dusted by Lyla Sage. If you did not know, I am Swedish. If you're wondering, what's that accent? It's Swedish. I am Swedish, and I moved from Sweden to Austin, Texas with my husband for him to pursue his career. We're staying in Austin, Texas for 4 to 5 years, so we still have like 2-ish years left here in Austin before we are moving wherever it is that we want to move next. But we are definitely leaving Texas, that's for sure. Not that we hate Texas, but like for his career, we do need to keep on moving. But I was very intrigued to find out that there is, I should have known. I should have known. All genres are represented, but that there's like cowboy romance. I don't know. I've been trying. I'm the kind of person that's like, the glass is always half full. That's me. The glass is always half full, and if you squint, it might even be like a little bit more on the full side. I'm always trying to look things in a positive light. I'm always trying to make the best of every situation, and I'm trying to live out my cowgirl fantasy dreams, buying cowboy boots and getting to just, I don't know, see the best of it, because like I can't change me being here. We are here because of my husband's career. We didn't choose to move to Texas, but I'm trying to make the best of the situation, and I am enjoying myself here. I'm having a good time, and I'm excited to be reading a little bit of cowboy romance. I give this book a 4 star. I think this book is really, really entertaining. Basically, this is the gist of the book. She's off limits, but she has never been good at following the rules. This is about a girl returning to her hometown and seeing her brother's best friend in a new light. That's what this is about. And it's also about overcoming fears. She has gone through something traumatic. She is a horse rider. She's gone through something traumatic, and it's about, you know, getting literally back up in the saddle and just overcoming fear and support, like having support and having someone believe in you. And I thought that this was very sweet. I was thoroughly entertained. I ended up giving this a 4 star, and I was like, this is sweet. And I also liked that it was kind of on the thinner side. I thought that this was truly entertaining, but not necessarily the 5 star feel. This is how I rate books. The 5 star feel is a book that gave me that 5 star feel where I truly love I love the environment, I love the plot, I love the characters, I really feel for them, and it's a book I keep thinking about. It's a book my brain keeps, it rewires my brain chemistry. I keep thinking about this book all again and again. This isn't necessarily that, but I still think it was a very entertaining book, and I do already have part 2 in this one. So that I can read it. Also, all the books that I'm talking about, I'll leave them down below if you want to read up more about them, if you want to check them out. My links down below are affiliated, so if you do shop through my links, thank you so much for supporting this channel and enabling me to buy more books, basically, and that's basically what it's all about. But I also have some other recommendations, and if you want to follow my Goodreads, that's also down below. Another book that I read that's also not romantasy is Ali Hazelwood's Bride. This one I bought on a whim when I was in a bookstore together with my friend Rachel Palmieri, and I really enjoyed this one. Again, I gave this a 4-star, and this one, I can tell, and I say this not as like criticism, I say this as like this is a good thing. You can tell that this paranormal romance, this is a forced marriage between a vampire and a werewolf, and it is so entertaining because of the banter. Not only the banter between characters, but also the inner dialogue that these characters have. And I am truly amazed at how good and witty and smart the dialogue is. And that's why I'm saying I can truly tell with this dialogue that this was written by someone who normally writes contemporary romance, because I do think that that is what Ali Hazelwood is known for, contemporary romance. This is my first book by her, and I've heard that she is truly and very entertaining author. If you have a book by her that's your favorite, please let me know down below. Maybe I'll pick that one up too. But I was very entertained by this. I gave this a 4-star. The only thing that for me, this is a very refreshing book, because it is definitely a very mix between contemporary romance and the paranormal. I just kind of wish that she would have leaned a little bit more into the fantasy and just been a little bit more epic, because it doesn't have that epic feeling that you sometimes want when you're reading paranormal or when you're reading romantasy or fantasy. It's lacking that. And I think that that is the only reason why I gave it a 4-star. I kind of wish that she would have still kept some of that. But maybe we can see that in the second book, because in the last couple of pages of this book, you can definitely tell that there's going to be a second part of this one, because that is very evident in how the last couple of pages of this book is written. Let me just tell you that. Now we're getting into the book that I gave a 2-star. And this is the Wraith King by Juliette Cross. I talked about this one before on my channel when I did a book haul, because I had already read it when I did the haul. I gave this one a 2-star. I think the world building in this, with the magic system and the different clans and the different countries and the conflict and the magic, it is so much better than what she actually did with it. I think that this author was so focused on the romance and on the smut that she kind of lost sight of what she really could have done with this, which is made this a truly epic romantasy, but she leaned in too hard on the smut, which is a shame, because there could have been something more with this if she had just dwelled into those areas a little bit more, because I honestly think that she was onto something here with the world building, and I almost want her to rewrite this into fantasy heavy over smut heavy. I just say that. But this is basically, it's the end of a war, and the Wraith King says, as a spoil of war, to accept peace between him and the kingdom that he won over, he wants the princess. And he says, I am forcing her to kind of marry him, even though that's not what they call it. And she will be with me until she gives me an heir. And this is how we will preserve peace. I promise to protect her and to protect the kingdom that I've just conquered, but I want her. And there's a little bit of a backstory behind there. But that is the premise of this. It's a forced marriage through a peace offer, basically. And again, the plot could have been plotting if the author had just paid a little bit more attention to the world that she was weaving, instead of letting that be the back tapestry of the smut that she clearly wanted to bring in. Honestly, I wish she would rewrite this one as a fantasy, because I don't think the world building was bad at all. Next, we have The Throne of the Fallen by Kerri Maniscalco. This is the first book in the, what is this one called? Because there is another one. Yes, Throne of Secrets is the next one. I don't know what this series is called. It is Prince of Sin. That's what it's called. So basically, these are different princes of the seven circles of hell, and this is about Prince Envy. This is a more wicked, dangerous ACOTAR meets Bridgerton. It is Regency romance, but make it fae, demons, and like that kind of stuff, and it's very entertaining because it starts out very Bridgerton, and I really like the twist of this book. And I like the characters, and there is a slight I don't want to call it twist, but there is something that's like this underlying what does this all mean thing that's going on in this book that I thought was very entertaining, but to the point where you could figure it out. If you were just paying attention, nobody would be surprised. You would figure it out. I figured it out. And I never figure anything out. I didn't see Tamlin's red flags. I didn't see anything going on. We're gonna talk about one book here that truly made my head go like, do I even know how to read? This one I figured out. So it's not unheard of that you will figure it out, but I like the underlying of it all. I like the banter. I like the whole should I not, like where is this leading, and I thought it was entertaining. I also really liked the vengeance part. I'm big on a good vengeance story, so I appreciate that as well. It's kind of thick. I did listen to part of this I listened to part of it and then I read part of it, and I will say the male actor doing the male voice in the audiobook, he was acting his dear heart out, and at some points it was a little bit much. And I will say I'm not the person that can listen to smut. I'm just like, send help, get me out of here. So I did fast forward some of those because I'm like, I can't do this. I can't. I mean, one would think that I'm like, I'm an adult, I'm 41 years old, but when that comes on, I turn into a 12-year-old and I'm like, take me out of here. So I have realized I can't listen to smut. That's where this is taking me. But yeah, I did listen to part of that as an audiobook. This is one of the last books that I've read, and this is 6 Scorched Roses by Carissa Broadbent. Me and Carissa Broadbent, I'll actually talk about another book of her in a bit, because I read 2 books by her these 2 months. It is an author that is so well loved. People love her books. I see people mention her books as 5-star reads all the time. I see people mentioned what is it called, The Serpent and the Wings of Night, as like a 5-star read that people love, and I gave that a 3-star because I was like, it's entertaining but nothing more. And then I heard people say they thought that this one, which is a novella, because this is only 150 pages, it's a novella, they said this is the best book that she's written. And you know what, so far this is my 4th book that I'm reading by this author, and I agree. I think this is the best book that I've read by this author. I give this a 4-star. This is a really beautiful, almost poetic, but still getting to the point. And it's like a slow burn novella, which you think you wouldn't be able to do slow burn on 150 pages. But there is something about this. She writes things to the point without making them feel rushed. And I will say, now after reading this one, I realized that if you are starting to read Carissa Broadbent, this one should be read in between the 2 novels, the Crowns of Nyaxia. You should read this one after The Serpent King and the Wings of Night. That's what it's called, I keep forgetting. Because the characters in this book, you will meet those in book 2. And I realized that halfway through the book, I'm like, wait, this sounds familiar. So I'm just saying that if you have never read any of those books, I recommend this one as book 2. I'm just saying. Now let's get in actually to book number, which for me then would be book number 4. But this is the Songbird and the Heart of Stone, and this is a Crowns of Nyaxia novel, and this is then again by Carissa Broadbent. This is following Misha. And again, I love Misha because she's very sunshine. She is so positive, and she is like me when I was younger, which is like, can't keep her mouth shut in situations where she really should keep her mouth shut. Being an open book is sometimes just the worst thing you can be, and she is that one, you know, talks when she gets nervous. And without giving too much away of what's happening in the first two novels of the Crowns of Nyqvist, which is following a different couple, this one basically starts where the other ends. And she has been captured, and she's about to be executed, and she gets not really saved, but she gets saved by a bastard prince, and he's like, I got a mission for you. You're probably gonna end up dying doing this mission too, but at least you get to live for a little bit longer. And she's like, why not? So that's how this book starts. And I will say, I think the world building in this is much better than her first two novels, because I thought that was thin, and I thought the book was very stale at points. And I think this book, unfortunately, is a little stale at points, and you end up kind of like losing interest. And I think, for me, the love story in this is so much more believable than in this. And this is me, and we all have different opinions, and I know some people will not agree. I just don't think that she is writing the whole process of people falling in love in a way that's believable for me. And I gave this book a 3-star. I still think it was entertaining. I still enjoyed reading it, but it didn't move me, and I wasn't super convinced by the love story. And I don't know. I'm so intrigued to read the next one, though. It ends on a very interesting cliffhanger. I will definitely read the next one. So listen, who's the hypocrite? Me, clearly. I just have not really been as hooked by this author as some other people have been. This is Fear the Flame by Olivia Rose Darling. This is a book that I thought was going to be a 5-star read for me. It started out very strong, very good banter, very, very interesting. This is about a runaway princess that is, it's reluctant ally to lovers kind of a situation, and I found the beginning part of this book so intriguing, and it did fall not flat, but it wasn't as intriguing at the end. They were trying to put in a plot twist at the end that I thought was very predictable, to a point where I was almost to like, you could have done this a little bit earlier and it would have been less predicting, because when we actually got to it, I was like, just get on with it already, because it wasn't very subtle, according to me. Again, maybe I'm actually like a genius just seeing these things, but I'm normally not. That's why I'm saying it. This is about a girl who has bonds with dragons. There's a prophecy that the dragons will ruin the kingdom of her father, who is the king, so he separates her from her dragons, locks the dragons away. Her uncle helps her escape, and her dream in life is to be reunited with her dragons. And again, reluctant ally finds this general, and the plot kind of takes from there. Again, the first half of the book was really good. I did think that I'd say the first half of the book was a 5-star and the second half of the book was a 3-star, and that's why I ended up giving it a 4-star. I think this book is very entertaining. I do not agree that it is a 5-star all the way. Personally, I did love a lot of the characters in these books though, and I'm very intrigued to see what happens. I do think though that some of the smut was so cringy, because they're like, it's like smut in public in a brothel, and it's like smut in front of a corpse, and I'm like, this is a little much. So some of that was like, you know, I had eye twitch, so I'm like, I don't know about this one. But again, still very entertaining. For me, I don't agree that this is a 5-star read, but that's just a personal preference. I also did read, this is so entertaining, and this is Bloodguard. This is by Cecy Robson. I actually finished this book just before I saw Gladiator 2 on at the movies. And again, if you have just seen Gladiator 2, or if you're planning to see Gladiator 2, read this book together with it, because this is about a gladiator but in a fantasy setting. This is a romantasy, and it is about the romance, but it's also about the plot, and this book has some heartache. Oh, it has some heartache, and I'm just telling you right now, if you can't deal with that, if you're the kind of person that hated Throne of Glass because they keep killing off your favorites, this one is not for you. I would stay away from this one. But again, it's about a gladiator. Basically, if you win X amount of fights, you get to be called Bloodguard, and you get to be royal and be a free man, and you be a free wealthy man. Basically like winning the Hunger Games. If you win X amount of games, survive X amount of games, you're basically treated like the winners in the Hunger Games. And this man has basically traveled from poverty to the main city to be able to provide for his family. And then he meets someone who sponsors him, who also has their own back motive. And there are times in this book where I laughed out loud, because he is fed up with it. He is not your typical male love interest. He is just a slave that's fed up with it. He just doesn't want to pretend to be nice anymore. And the woman in this is trying to be brave, but you can tell that she has no clue what she's doing, and it's a very entertaining mix. And I laughed out loud several times. It does, like I said, contain a lot of gore and a lot of heartache, but at the end of the day, I really truly enjoyed this one. This was a strong 4-star for me. And freestanding book. If you're the kind of person that needs a little bit of a break, you don't want to dive into a big series, you just want to read something that's well written, entertaining, not too thick, with a good beginning, a good end, freestanding, this is the one. And there were some unexpected things happening in this book that I truly enjoyed. It's one of those who's the good guy, who's the bad guy, and you never really know, and it keeps changing all the time. And I truly enjoyed it. I really actually recommend this one. If I were to say, I would say this is a weak 4 and this is a strong 4. That's how I felt when I was reading them. Next, we have the book that I finished yesterday, and this is Mile High by Liz Tomforde. And I got this book because I saw a lot of people giving 5 stars to other parts of the series and naming other parts of this series as the best book of 2024. So I was like, this is clearly a series that I need to get on. This is clearly a series I need to start reading. I read the first book, and again, this is a very strong 4-star for me. Very entertaining. I cried. There are some scenes with like dogs getting rescued, and I don't know about you, but I am a big animal person. I have a rescue dog myself, and it was just there were so many parts of this book that was very heartfelt and genuine, not forced or cringy, but genuine. And I also really loved the whole, she's feeling insecure, he's trying to build her up. That felt very genuine and very believable, and I just thought that this was really fun. This is a rich guy meets not so rich girl, but not in that typical obvious way, and I truly enjoyed it. This is basically about a very famous hockey star that they traveled to different hockey games. It's not really about the hockey that much. They travel to different hockey games, away games, in the plane for the team, and she is a flight attendant on that plane. With this one, unlike some of the other ones I said, it's a believable love story. You can tell when they're falling for each other, and I really enjoy it. And yeah, it's also dealing with some mental health issues in a very believable way, and it's very much discussing mental health and going to therapy and stuff like that in a, again, very good and believable way. So I really recommend this one. I think the author was tackling some of those heavy subjects really well, and I thought it was a really good book, and I truly recommend it, and I will definitely read the next one as well. Here come 2 books where when I told people, because I read, oh my god, these are so heavy. I read the first book in the Zodiac Academy, and I gave it a 1 star. It's a bully romance that quite honestly is unbearable. Absolutely unbearable. I don't want to relive my school years like that, quite honestly. It was brutal. It was physical, mental, sexual abuse. It was kind of brutal. But I saw so many people saying that the series got really good in book 2 and book 3. So I read those as well. These are really hefty books. This one is 550 pages. This one is 530 pages. Is this really 500? No, this is 620 pages. That's what I said. Why did I read even more pages about this? I don't know. But I will say, I agree. The books do get better. These are the Zodiac Academy, Ruthless Fate. It's Peckham and Susanne Valenti. And then it is The Reckoning. I think that these books are much better than book 1. These would have been 4 stars if book 1 hadn't been so unbearable. Because why I put both of these books as 3 stars is that none of these books truly give me a satisfying reason or even revenge for what happened in the first book. And I don't think that I should have to wait 1,000+ pages to get an apology for someone trying to kill me. I really don't. That's the part where I'm like, it's not like they were just like, oh, teasing them. No, they tried to kill them. And I'm just like, can we get something? Like, and I've heard from people saying that what we get is not really an apology. We're getting more of a revenge, which again, I would prefer an apology, but maybe I'm soft, but that's also me. I met some of my bullies when I was older, and I told them, you made me feel like shit when I was younger, and they apologized. And you know what? I feel better about that. I feel like that made us be able to go further. And I think we both, all of us, grew from that situation, because I think when you're, you know, when a kid, sometimes you actually don't know better. You don't know how much you impact people's lives. This, instead of getting an apology, she's getting in his pants. And I'm like, I think the authors are trying to explain, oh, this is just a different, like, I'm not buying it. So these would have been 4 stars if the first book hadn't been so absolutely unbearable. That's what I would say about it. Will I still read part 4? Maybe. You know what? Who knows? Maybe. This is my 5 star. This is Metal Slinger. I've talked your ears off about this book. It is an incredible book that, like I said, at the end made me rethink how I read books. It is such a smart book, and this was a strong 4 star until I came to the last 3 chapters and realized the author is actually a genius. And I need to reread this book before the second book comes out. This is in the Fire and Metal series, part 1. It is by Rachel Schneider, and I need to reread this and just be like, how did I miss this? Because there was one part in this book where I was like, that doesn't make sense. And I wish I would have like been a little intellectual and like let my mind mull over that for a little bit. But I was, you know, I was stressed. I was like, oh, never mind about that. And I kept reading. Instead, I should have let my intellect, like, I should have given that like a couple of minutes to like process what I just read. But this is a truly interesting book. It is a new take on a romantasy, and I really, really enjoyed this book, the plot, the characters, even more so now that I've read the ending. It is not even a plot twist, it's just the author telling you, you are not paying attention. You are not paying attention. So this is about Bryn. She is a guard in training in a kingdom that has been banished out to sea. They're not living on soil anymore. They're living in like a floating city, basically. And she is finishing up her guard training, and she has been, together with her friends, dreaming their entire life to be able to visit the market that is once a year on land, and they're able to go now at the end of their training. They go to this market, things happen, and the book takes on from there. They come back to their kingdom. There are some conflicts brewing. Some old conflicts have come up to the surface because of this market. A visitor, an unexpected visitor, comes to the kingdom, and everything is just put on its head, and she has some decisions to make. And I will say, amazing. Absolutely loved it. Gave it a 5 star. This gave me the 5 star feel. This is a book that I think about at least a couple of times a week. Highly recommend it. I really hope that we will talk about Metal Slinger the way that we talked about Quicksilver, and I cannot wait to see what the next book is going to be, and I really hope that we're able to see that in 2025. Let me know if you have read any of these books, and if you agree with me. I would love to hear your thoughts down below. Again, like I said, all the information is going to be in the description box. Don't forget to subscribe before you leave, and I will see you soon again in a new video. Bye!